Welcome to Stories of Hope. This is a podcast by the Dream Center.
Where you will hear from people who have stories that once seemed hopeless.
People whose stories of redemption and life transformation are so powerful, they can only be possible by the power of Jesus. Hey everybody, welcome back to Stories of Hope for our second episode of this new season. If you're joining this week, we are starting to go through our core values as an organization, just talking through the things that help us really just keep a good check and balance on everything that we're doing. These were implemented back at the beginning of the organization. You can hear more about that on episode 1. And today, me and Chris are joined by Melissa Vess, who is another member of our leadership team here, and she's our director of community outreach. And Melissa, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
It's going to be fun. Melissa, you've been on this before.
Yes.
So this is not new to you. And so I'm just super excited to have these conversations with you and
Great.
Just hear what you have to say around People Matter. Around
Right.
why we take such good care of not only our staff, but our volunteers and the people that really help us make our ministry happen. So
Absolutely.
just excited about that. Chris, before we really get rolling, I'm going to pitch to you. And is there anything about this core value specifically that you have in the front of your head as we kind of get rolling?
The only thing that comes to mind is that it's why we're here. It's why we're here.
Right.
It's because people matter.
Yeah, it's true.
All people, not just people who can do something for us,
Right.
not just people who we think, have influence,
It's
but
true.
all people. And so that's why we come here every day.
Yeah, it's true. Melissa, what is one of the things when you look at this core value for your role specifically that is kind of, like I asked Chris, kind of the first thing that pops in your head with People Matter, with your role in itself?
Well, the first thing I guess that pops in my head is how all people matter so much to Jesus, that infinitely matter to him, and that helps us keep a focus on how much people should matter to us and how much we personally matter to him as well. So I feel like that really helps us be able to keep focus on, when we come into work, it's not just a checklist, like we're checking off what we're doing that day, but we're keeping a focus on how important every person is, even divine appointments, the people you bump into in the office every day or interacting with. So I just like to keep that at the forefront of my mind of how important every single person is, every single interaction, every smile or talk or, not running past someone any chance you have and to, stop and have a conversation. Yeah.
One of the cool things about planning this season and kind of figuring out what it was going to look like was each person was very specifically chosen for each core value. And one thing is, I feel like everywhere we go, Melissa bumps into somebody that she knows. I mean, literally every time we go out. And so when thinking through these core values, it's cool to get to see you, one, inside of your role, but two, just how you live your life outside of the Dream Center, to where people truly, like everything you just said, matter to you so much. You have the eyes and the lens of Jesus and what we see in Scripture, and so I wanted to honor you in that way, just as we start
you.
You truly just live this core value out so well, and so you're just truly the perfect person to talk about this.
I agree. I was thinking the exact same thing. I said, nobody is more perfect to talk about this than Melissa.
That's true.
Just because you're so intentional. And I've learned a lot from you, because a lot of times you're just taking a moment to say, hey, we need to do this for this person. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that never entered my mind. And it's just helping me remember to stop and be more intentional, because you're very intentional.
Oh, wow.
And it is noticed by everybody.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh,
Aren't you kind? But I just, as part of what I do here with the volunteers, the individual volunteers and the groups, and going out to community events, just the opportunity to be able to interact with people is just such a joy and honor. And I feel so blessed to be a part of it, being under your Christ-centered leadership, the leadership of our board, our coworkers. It really is an honor and a blessing. So I feel great joy.
Right. And what's cool about not only this core value itself, but as we are going to have conversations as we continue the season, is you really just get to see the reality of the servant leadership side of each one of these core values, but also just what we get called into in following Jesus and leading different areas and all those kinds of things. And so with that, with your role specifically, I'd love to kind of give a little bit of background of what exactly your role is, because it really does have such a big umbrella. And then to kind of dive into the core value more specifically. But I'd love to kind of just share with everybody kind of what your role looks like.
Yeah, that's great for any listeners that might not know the scope of the volunteer work at the Dream Center is phenomenal. We have the best volunteers in the world. But just to mention a few things, that we have people who teach classes, do childcare, volunteer with our Opportunity Village and mentoring and events and financial coaching, our Crisis Intervention Center, helping those that come in need, our facilities, not to mention our Santa Shop Christmas Assistance Program, our stores, our board, our Dream Center Women. I mean, it's a huge amount of volunteers, hundreds, of people that help us out. So just to, the scope of all that, and then to be able to go out and speak with or meet with the people in the community that invite us to their resource fairs and others. We all have each other's back, and we're all covering things like that. But just feel so privileged to be able to do that people care enough about the mission of the Dream Center. So that's a part of my role too, is being able to go out to churches, schools, community events, senior citizen events, and then groups of people come here, which is a wonderful part. Not only our individual volunteers, but we have groups of churches, schools, businesses, that come in, and it's really an awesome thing, like businesses where their company will allow them a serve date and pay them to come in, volunteer for 8 hours. So we just love having those groups in. And of course, with a huge amount of work and a relatively small amount of staff, that the people that matter so much to us, those people matter. What they do, it makes a huge difference. It really can't even be measured in its worth.
Right. What are some of the things that, I guess not some of the things, when you look at groups, volunteers, jumping in at fairs and all the things that you get to do, specifically with groups and volunteers that come here, what's one of the things that you, as you prepare to give orientations and you prepare to give tours and you prepare to talk about what we do here, what are the things that run through your mind in communication and how you make people feel welcomed as you kind of prepare for those things?
I just feel great joy that they're coming, that they want to do that. You see so much negativity on the news, but the positive aspects of the people that want to give back and are mobilized to help other people, that is, when I'm preparing, sometimes I'm just in awe of how willing people are to come and give of their time, their resources, their talents, and share with other people individually and corporately as groups. And I mean, it really, really touches my heart. And I never want to take one of those people for granted.
Oh, yeah, no.
Because look, they're coming in and giving us their time and giving our, the people in need their time.
Right.
But the coolest thing about that is the joy that brings me seeing them, preparing for them, the joy and that it brings to all the people that are being helped. I see the joy on those volunteers' faces even more. I really believe that. Yeah. Like giving back and how that impacts them even more than it impacts us. It impacts the people they're helping. The fulfillment and the joy that it brings them for doing it is just what touches my heart the most, I think.
Yeah.
And don't you think that's what we were created for?
Right.
I do.
So I do feel like that, not to slam on anybody that's not doing anything, but if you're not doing anything at all in your life to serve somebody else, you might be shortchanging your own self.
Right.
Because of how it's just what we were created to do.
Right.
I believe that firmly.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, Scripture, we look at Jesus, like the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve himself. And so I think that you think about him washing the disciples' feet and taking care of them, regardless of all of them abandoned him at one point. And you just see the vast way of, as soon as we get out of our own way and we start looking at the needs of others or giving opportunities for others to join in on the work that we're getting to do, like you're saying, I mean, you really do get to see. And we have businesses who aren't faith-based come here and serve all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
And people who, and so it's cool to see the impact of kingdom mindset work start to shift the view of other companies.
And that's a good point, Brady, that you don't have to be a Christian to serve or volunteer at the Dream Center. But it's, we can't hide behind the fact that's why we show up, because he's called us to do it. But you certainly don't have to have that. But it's just an opportunity to, give back to others.
Yeah, it's true.
Absolutely.
What's some of the ways that when you were creating the core values and looking at this specifically, that I guess kind of two parts for you is one, the people that we're serving, but also this core value is so important to our staff and culture as a whole. Where was kind of some of the origin with that as you guys created this?
I think we started thinking about, we were so hyper focused on the people that we were helping, that were in need. And through the process of having, like Melissa said, volunteers come in, and I am blown away by the generosity of people. And there are people who behind the scenes, they're not trying to get noticed, but they are so generous with their time. They're so generous with their money. And we have people who volunteer at the resale store every single week.
Yes.
And don't get paid, and that's hard work.
Oh, yeah.
So, but what we began to notice is the opportunity for people to use their talents or to use their time to help somebody else. And when you give that opportunity, people will come. And then we realize sometimes when the volunteers are coming, they have things that they want us to pray for and things that they're going through. We realized it is all of us. We all need each other. It's not just the people we're helping. It's the people who are serving with us. It's the people we employ. It's just being there and trying to do this thing together. That was so important, I feel like. And so it became about bringing understanding that every single person, whether maybe they just write a check or maybe they just write a check. It's not just write a check. Maybe they write a check, but they don't have time in their schedule.
Right.
That's okay. One thing I think that holds people back is fear. So maybe people aren't volunteering anywhere. And I'm not really just talking about Dream Center. I'm saying anywhere in your life where you can plug into. Maybe you're not serving. Maybe you're not giving back. Maybe you're afraid, like, well, what do I have to offer? I don't have any special gifts. I don't have any special talents, or I'm not rich. You don't have to be rich to be generous. You just have to show up, and you just have to put your fear aside and say, is there a way I can serve here? And God will open every door.
Right.
And if you're not qualified, He'll say, come on in. I'll qualify you for what I need you to do for me. Yeah. So I would just say to people, there is so much more for you.
Right.
If you're willing to do something that is out of your comfort zone, that is not for yourself.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless of where that is, find a need and fill it. And you will be amazed at what God will do with it.
Yeah, right.
Because you matter, and the people that are waiting that need you matter. And so we got to get over ourselves, and get busy.
Yeah,
there's a lot to do.
It's true. One of the cool things that we get to talk about pretty often too is we see these people come in and start to volunteer who are retired and who are trying to just find that next step in life to find purpose or to feel like they're contributing or whatever. And so I've had to like check myself in the past of, there's no way they're just going to find that volunteering, folding clothes at the store or taking donations or whatever. And we get to hear stories all the time of people being like, this is like the most fulfilled I've ever felt, or I found the most purpose that I've ever had. And
they have a blast.
It's crazy.
And it's ministry.
Yes.
And this is another important detail. Every small thing matters. And every small thing is ministry. So if we can do those small things well, then they make a big impact. God uses those things together to make a big impact. And we can't sit around waiting for, well, I can't be a founder or of a nonprofit, or I can't be this. Don't worry about what we can't be.
Right.
Can you hang clothes?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
That's right.
and watch what God will do with that. And we have seen it. We have seen it. And he will bring back to life things that were dead. And it is so cool to see. And usually it's the small things that people think don't matter. They matter a lot.
Mm-hmm. And our retired people could be doing anything.
Right.
They have time. They could be
don't
traveling.
have to do
They
this.
could be taking whatever they want to do. They could be at the lake,
Right.
or just out with their friends. But it's just so wonderful. They choose for their time here because it is fulfilling. It is rewarding.
Right.
And you look at the ladies, Becky and Rachel and Rome, and so many people, Diana and Jerry, and we could name hundreds, but three of us could sit right here and pop off 100 names just instantly. True. So not to in any way leave anybody out, but the people I think of, the retired people specifically, like just walking down the hall here was, Kay teaching sewing, and Franklin teaching parenting, and you have Lynn and Doyle's Bible study classes, and all the retired people that help there, and Mark, and all the different areas, and Deidre and childcare, and many others.
They have so much knowledge and
the
experience,
knowledge
and
the wisdom that they pass pass on and the way they're using their time, it blows my mind away. But then we have the younger people that still have their kids at home,
Yeah, right.
Ashley and all the people that are,
Yeah.
you know, coming in and helping out. And that is really just a phenomenal gift that they're taking their time. It can be a smaller amount of time, but we see her, you know, praying after class with people and in the hall praying with people, and all the people. And, you know, my friend Lisa volunteering in 4 different areas because she's retired now.
Yeah.
And you really just stop and think. And we have Christy Hansen, our Santa shop director of 10 years, you know, of time in her retirement year, and the impact and legacy that's had on people, you know, down the road.
It can't even be measured.
You can't even start to measure in earthly terms. Only God knows the impact of all the lives, you know, that have been touched by all those people that have given and given and given and still are. And what's so cool is the tiniest thing they do, or the people that come in every day. It is that impact for the kingdom, what they can give, whatever amount it is, and God blesses it and multiplies it, whether you're sorting donations, you're one-on-one mentoring somebody, you're teaching a whole classroom full of people. That impact, you know, that can't be measured is what matters, the people that matter, you know, to them and how we matter to God. So it all comes around, you know, full circle and teaches us to be servant leaders.
Right.
I love that. It reminds me of what we like to say, where one person can't do everything, but every person can do something.
That's right.
So if every person was doing their something, it would be unbelievable.
It would be unbelievable.
What are some of the ways, thinking about volunteers? I mean, we could probably just do a whole episode and just like gas up our volunteers, talk, you know, like you said, name a whole bunch of them. But one thing about the way that you carry yourself, the way that you do your job that I love is between orientation and volunteering, you, first of all, just all the orientations that you get to do and making sure that, you know, whether it's one person or you have 15 people in an orientation, the amount of effort, the amount of work that you put into that is the same regardless of the size. The same way that you meet with volunteers at the stores or wherever they're starting to volunteer to make sure that they feel like their orientation bridge into their location, bridge into their volunteering, all feels like it matters. What are the things that you use through that process of to make sure that you can keep because I feel like it could get like mundane and it could be like another orientation or another volunteer. So what are the things that you kind of do to make sure that you're keeping that kind of fire under you and the excitement of bringing new people in?
Well, what I really love to do is just to try to get to know the people if we have time, if it's, you know, while they're there, and a little bit about them and what they do, but to follow up with each person individually, because we really focus here. We want them to serve where they feel led.
Right.
And some people may feel led, you know, maybe in several areas, and then we can have a conversation and see, well, where's the greatest need right now? Some people say, put me anywhere. And then we have people that come to orientations. They just want to see how to pray for us. They may want to see how to duplicate something similar, maybe in a little part of it in a ministry they're involved with.
Right.
But to get to know them, what their needs are as well. That's very important to us, that they feel placed where they feel led to serve.
Yes.
So I really like to get to know the person, have a conversation with them, and meet them and connect them in the area that they need to serve in. And we also, like our volunteers, know they matter so much. Like that's not an area that they feel led and they want to, you know, move to another area. They feel multiple areas.
Right.
That's wonderful. You know, we like to talk to them and feel, you know, place them where they feel led. So that getting to know all those people, and I do love getting to know people, and that really helps keep a fire under me, like what you ask of the importance, and also how God puts the right person in the right place. Though it blows your mind so much you can't get bored, you know? Because if we need a volunteer in a certain area, you all have seen it so many times. That person will be at the next orientation.
That's true.
They'll walk through the front door, they'll call. So we're like, wow, God, thank you so much. They're the perfect person for that need that he feels every time. So that can't get boring.
No, truly, it just cannot. I'm going to read. So 1 Peter 4:8-11 is what this core value is based around. It's one of the longer ones, so I didn't want to try to
do it from memory
and mess it up. But it says, above all, love each other deeply, because love covers over a multitude of sins. Offer hospitality to one another without grumbling. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in various forms. And then all of our subpoints, and this is kind of where I'd love to step into the staff culture side of things. The subpoints are: communicate, make eye contact, and call people by name. Do not raise our voice or use profanity. Show kindness and love always, especially to those who seem unlovable. and then always take the initiative to go above and beyond, making things easy for the customer or the client now and donor. This must be an old one. Whoops. But all those things, I think it's pretty clear how we can make sure that we're being careful with volunteers, but how are those things inside of our building, inside of the stores, at the coffee house, all the things, kind of what are the ways that we really do focus on that as we.
I like to talk about, I should have brought my silver platter in here, but
I should have made that the centerpiece for
me. We not often, sometimes we might get calls from someone a customer from the store, or somebody who has come into the Dream Center and didn't like our hand up approach or whatever. And those, when people are so upset, and a lot of times the best thing that I've been able to understand is that hurt people. And instead of being offended, to just try to meet them where they are. And it's like God's handing you an opportunity on a silver platter to respond differently than the world.
Right.
And to love them despite that.
Yeah.
And I have grown to embrace those opportunities, honestly. If we get a bad comment on social media or whatever, I embrace it as an opportunity to respond differently.
Right.
Because they're just hurt people, and I don't know their story. And so I just think that as a staff that we can also train our employees in our resale stores and our coffee house, everybody, to don't get so upset, but to step back and say, hey, every person matters, and that the most angry person and the most difficult person might be the person that's been hurt the most.
Yeah. And
can we show them kindness even when they seem unlovable? And so that's true in our lives too. It's so easy to get offended and take kind of a position of like self-righteousness where we're like, oh, but truly, everyone's, important.
It's true. And I feel like we'll talk about this at another time too, but it really just does help you start to slow down and to get over yourself in some sense of just, I think about in situations to where if we had a disagreement or if there's any kind of tension, the quicker that I slow down and I am conscious about making eye contact with you while we're dealing with the situation, it immediately starts to remind me of the humanity, but also that the love that is shared between all of us. Of if I'm mad and I'm just looking around the room, I'm gonna keep firing off whatever I'm doing. But as soon as I look you in the eye and I start saying Chris or Melissa, let's try to figure this out, it immediately starts to take away any kind of extra anger or frustration, or it just really kind of I'm blanking on the word, but it really just starts to knock back the way that we can try to keep fighting or whatever, and it just
keep the enemy out of our brain.
That's right.
Yes, and just helps us love each other deeply, because love, like we'll talk about at the end of the season with 1 Corinthians 13, it covers a multitude of sins, regardless of what it is. And so I just all of these conversations are making me more and more thankful for how we get to look at these things. And
there is a tiny story associated with this core value that I think of because I am an introvert. And when we first started the Dream Center and we had classes, I would literally wait until everybody was in class if I needed to run out to the restroom or do anything, because I didn't want to have to encounter a lot of people. And I really didn't think it was important that they would care if I encountered them or not. And so you would rarely see me because I would, dart in, dart out. And it was just because I was introverted.
Yeah, right.
But over time, I began to realize that people, it is important, not because it's me, because anybody who is encountering someone in the hall is important that that person feels seen. Yeah. And I had to change my entire mindset to where I need to go out when there are a lot of people out there so that I can learn their names and I can say good morning and look them in the eye, because they're already many times used to being not feeling unseen. Yeah. And whether you're here for help or whether you're a volunteer, everybody wants to have hear their name.
Right. And
so it changed my heart and how I thought it's not about me being comfortable, which comfortable is being in there and not encountering anybody. That's comfortable. But I've totally disregarded that because I know how important it is to, and it's a core value. If calling somebody my name is a core value, then you're more intentional about, oh my goodness, this person's coming to class 4 days a week.
Right.
Maybe I should learn their name.
Correct.
And call them by name and look them in the eye.
And I pray for God to help me remember names. It's a lot,
Yes.
when it's a lot of people.
Right.
It is a lot of people.
It
It is a lot of people, but it does make you a little more aware.
Because you do want to know. You want to know them so much. And some you interact with so briefly.
Right.
It's true. Well, the last sub point under this one is go above and beyond to make things easy for the client and donor. And I think one of the things that I love is what we get to see here, especially. I know the stores see this all the time with donations, but I'm thinking about the other day, a church brought by a bunch of diapers and random toys for the village, and somebody sent a message and was like, can anybody run down and greet them? I think it was you. And me, Tanya, and Sarah were like all just darted down the hallway, and you see that with you or whoever's around. And I think it's a very cool thing to see that regardless if it's a store donation that's going to help fund the ministry, or if it's a diaper donation for some of the kids in the village, or, Santa shop, whatever it is, each one of the people on our staff like truly has the notion of the way that we make the biggest impact by taking a donation is making sure that these people coming in, one, get to see us and feel that feel the gratitude that we all have truly. And that's something I think, again, that you show super well. But also, what are some of the things that you specifically do in making things easier for client, donor, volunteer, donor with their time? What are some of the things through your eyes that you're going to do to make sure that they feel the most welcomed and appreciated?
Well, I want to meet them personally, try to get them plugged in personally, make sure they feel comfortable. Not just don't say, just go out to our store and, for our regular volunteers that come to orientation, want to meet them there, introduce them to all the staff and volunteers, make sure they're comfortable in whatever area they're going to help with. And, again, try to get to know them, their needs, the best fit for where, and a lot of times it's a schedule issue, like what fits for their job or what time they have. So I love that. And I do love what you said about our staff and everybody using the gifts God's given you, that we all have each other's back. And everybody, when volunteers come in, we all usually mention Joni and our office coordinator and her front desk face of the Dream Center role, how she makes every volunteer feel welcome, every person that walks in, and loved and truly cared for. But I believe all of our staff does that in our own way, that all of you, for any reason, somebody's in a meeting or tied up and somebody comes here, everybody's willing to go out there. And I so believe, how God says, use the gifts you've been given. Like, I'm in awe of what you do, what the other, our leadership, everybody in this building, that are placed with the gifts they've been given for what they do, that somebody else couldn't do that just like them. And so I think everybody also works together to make those people feel incorporated, and Allison with our teachers, making them feel, and every person that is over somebody, and our crisis intervention staff with their volunteers, that really makes them feel welcome. Not only the volunteers, but the clients and anybody walking in, all donors. Because more often than not, it is something that we have a dire need for, and God sends it in the door. So we are so grateful. You don't even have to in any way pretend to be grateful.
Exactly.
You're just so grateful and appreciative, and realize it's a gift from God through them.
100%. One of the core values that we'll talk about in a couple weeks is be set apart. And I think that the unique view that we get to have on people mattering is one thing that when I look at our organization, I love to cheer on. Is I think that's one of the best ways that we are set apart is we're not just focused on the person coming in the door. We're not just focused about we're really not focused about being this big shiny organization that has a bunch of people that give. We're not just worried about, we're focused on the money or about it really is just like whoever wants to be involved, whether it's somebody needing services or being on staff or volunteering or being a donor, like truly it's just a complete culture of whatever your role is, whatever your involvement is.
That's right.
We just want to make sure that that how thankful we are for you in whatever capacity. And that is just something that coming from other nonprofit background in my past and being here now, it's just one thing over the last few years that I'm like, this is crazy how, and it's consistent throughout it's not like it's an up and down season of we're doing really good with our donors or really good with our volunteers or really good with our clients. It's just like, we're just trying to be consistent and be set apart and making sure that these people know that whatever they're doing matters.
That example you gave where they were bringing diapers and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I got a text that day from that donor
Mm-hmm.
and said, wow, I was blown away by the reception I got. They were so grateful and excited to get one. So she sent me a text saying, thank you so much. I was really good, because she had driven, quite a bit of ways to come. And I forgot to even tell you that, because it's such a common thing.
Yeah, it's true.
That's what we get, the feedback that we're able to get.
Yeah, it really is cool. So what are some of the things, obviously, when you implemented these core values, there was a season where this wasn't necessarily at the forefront of our minds. So what are some of the things that you look at or come back to make sure that the organization continues to kind of stick with the core values and stick with making
Well, I try to look at the core values too, like a lot of these points underneath each one from the perspective of the client or the donor.
Right.
Because if you can look at it from their perspective, it gives it a whole new meaning. And every day, like this particular core value, again, I always think of a scenario that had happened, but it's like if someone calls and says, I need to, let's just say, we used to call our resale stores to schedule, but they're like, oh, the person's not here right now that you need to talk to, call back later. Well, you've just thrown that task back on top of them.
Right.
And you know how our schedules are. When you called to set up an appointment for something, you're like, well, great. It took me 3 weeks to remember to do this. So every little thing is important, to where we think of it from their perspective, that now they're going to have to remember to call back. Well, what can we do? It's not that we were rude,
right?
But what can we do? We can take it back and say, wow, they are at lunch, but if you'll give me your name and number, you'll get a call back within the hour or the next 2 hours. And they'll be glad to help you. That is such a relief to the person calling, because they're like, wow, okay, I don't have to worry about it. I'm going to get a call back. We've all been there. Yeah. We've all been there. So I just feel like every day I see opportunity where we can do that, and we are doing that. But it's little things that people may not notice, but we're very intentionally trying to see it through their eyes. And I want to continue to do that for as long as I'm here, that the Dream Center would always consider the donor and the client and the volunteer in every scenario. So, they're not out there in the parking lot unloading their car. We're coming out to unload their car. Yes. And when they come to our stores to drop off a donation, they're not out there having to honk their horn praying someone's going to show up. Right. Yeah. No, we come out like, flies. We're all in their car and we're unloading it, and we're giving them a receipt, and we're making it easy for them to donate to us, because that's what being set apart is. Right. Why would we make it harder? Yeah, right. Like, wow, those Christians, they really make things tough, No. We just want them to look at us and say, man, that place is different, and that store is different, and that coffee house is different. And it's because the people in it are set apart, and they're going the extra mile. Right. And these days, it doesn't take much. Go the extra mile, because a lot of times that's not the way the world works. Yeah, right. So
it's true. Even this morning, I was at a event that I jumped in for you, and the guy who was leading it, he was like, "What's your name? Where are you from?" I was like, "Dream City." He's like, "Oh man, I've donated to your stores a couple times, and it's just the easiest thing. Y'all are the best. I know right where you are." And so it was just a little example of that. Of like, I'm sure when he got there that if it was the Easy store, they had 5 people just like storm out of that back door.
Yes.
Take everything, and you're probably in and out in 30 seconds unless you get into a conversation. Yep. It truly just makes it so. So even hearing those quick things of, just a 20-second conversation, but the impact of making things easier for them when they donate, it's so cool.
And I think even a business that might be listening to this, maybe it's a secular business, you can be set apart by these things. Yes. By making it easier for your customer. Yeah. By looking at it from their perspective instead of, taking the easy way out.
Yeah, true. It is really true. And I also, as you were talking, I also just want to give a shout out to our truck guys, because they're like the front line of making things easy.
We call them ambassadors. Yes.
Truly.
Yes.
And they make people, the amount of times we get to hear that, like, we got a thank you card about Charlie and Adam and how great they were and how kind they were. And we had all these hard things. And so it is really cool to see the guys who are here the least on campus, like truly they're making such a big impact all across the upstate, because they're in every city. every day.
Yeah, and every situation is ministry. I mean, a lot of times they're going to a home where someone has lost their parent and they've passed away and they're picking things up. Those people are hurting, and to have people on staff that are going to show them kindness and love during a time, hardest time of their life.
Yeah.
And to be able to get their donation and make it easier for them instead of harder, it's a big deal. Yeah. And I feel like that in this world, sometimes those things get overlooked.
It's true.
But our guys don't. I mean, they are just so intentional about knowing that everybody's situation is different, and we've got to look at them through the eyes of the Lord and to see them as being important. So,
yeah, they're the best.
We have a good team.
We really do. We hit truly just the jackpot. It's crazy. Okay, so as we get towards the end of this episode, what's one thing through the lens of your role, whether it's somebody who is just community engagement in their job, or if it is volunteer, or if it is a donor situation, what's one thing that you would love to leave people with as a challenge or an encouragement around like looking at people mattering through their role in the way that you do?
I would love to leave people with a challenge in that I just in my personal life, the way this scripture and this core value has impacted me. I know in recent years, 3 of my husband and I's 4 parents have gone to heaven, and just thankfully we still have my dear dad, but through those experiences, I think the sicknesses, the deathbed experiences, the funerals of friends' parents, and even friends. I feel like what has really, really been driven home to me is what you have at the end of your life is your relationship with Jesus, your relationship with your family and your friends. Right. And, there are things and those help and are important, but that's not what you want piled around you, at the end of your life. It's your relationship with Jesus and your family and your friends. Right. That's what matters. People matter, so much. And I see from that scripture, above all, love each other deeply. Yes. Love covers a multitude of sin. I've just seen so much where one small thing can drive a wedge, in a family, in a friendship, in a co-worker's relationship, where I feel like the enemy does come in and try to drive a wedge and try to hurt the ministry, or personal, of a family, of a church, of friends, of, by using that and taking it and, taking offense instead of that love covers a multitude of sins. And I know I feel so many times, and you could communicate something in a wrong way that hurt someone's feelings accidentally, or, sometimes things, could be done to you intentionally, or even, but, out of a bad situation, or whatever reason it is, that we just take that verse to heart. Love covers a multitude of sins. And do whatever we can to restore and repair those relationships, be it family, be it friends, be it coworkers, whatever, because that is what you have, at the end of your life. And that has impacted me very deeply with that. And it's also impacted me through the people we work with, our volunteers, and to see the situations they're in and what is important to them, at the end of your life. So I just feel like that, that challenges me, to take that very, seriously, and how important people are and how much they matter.
Great.
Yeah. I can't top that.
I knew it was going to be good. That was beautiful.
It really is. It really sums up everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. Then the last question for you, try to top that. I'm just kidding. But as far as leading an organization with your staff, like with the people that you're leading, what would be one thing that when you look at people matter inside of being the covering and being kind of the direction giver for your team, that you would want to encourage or leave people with?
I feel like that when God calls somebody into a role here at the Dream Center, it can be overwhelming, and sometimes you might feel like, man, am I the right person for this? Or, you start second guessing. And I have learned that God, when he calls us, he qualifies us to do what we need to do. So as the leader, I feel like I am here to spur that on in the people he's placed on our team to say, I had a conversation just the other day where someone on the team said, I just don't know if I have it in me to do all this. And it made me laugh because I'm like, yeah, I say that every day about my own self.
Right.
But I said, that tells me that you're the person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you are the person, because God will take that and he will receive so much glory in what you're going to do.
Yes.
But it's just about knowing that if he places you here, he is going to equip you for more, but you have to be faithful to do the little things well, and you have to be faithful to walk closely with him. And so for me, I've tried to just be more aware of who we're putting on the team. And everybody that knows me knows I hardly care what your resume looks like. I care what your heart looks like. And because if you're surrendered to the Lord and you're a hard worker, he qualifies you in so many ways. And you just have to be bold and say, I'm going to take a step forward.
That's right.
And so when I see people who have the courage to do that, then I'm going to link arms with them and we're going to go forward together, because I feel the same way. I'm like, Lord, what? But I've gotten over myself in that respect to say, you know what? It's not about us. It's about him. And if he called me here, wow, what is my part?
Right.
And as the leader, I just don't want people to get discouraged and give up because it gets hard.
Yeah, right.
Because the hard days are really hard. And the good days are really good.
Really good.
So, but God knows what we need just when we need it.
Yeah.
And there's been days when I thought, man, I just don't know if I can do this. And then he will swoop in and the Lord will just encourage my heart in some way. And I'm like, okay, I'm okay.
That's right.
But I have to remember that all of us go through that.
That's
and
right.
I want to be a cheerleader for our team to keep going. Not only our team, but other nonprofits and other people in ministry.
Yes.
To spur them on and never give up, because you're not alone.
Yeah, right. One thing that I'm thankful for that you didn't touch on, but that is just true of getting to be here, is also when I look at People Matter, you also give us the opportunity to where we know that our entire lives are important to you, and it's not just like, well, if you're here, then I expect 80 hours a week to be Dream Center. Like, you're the biggest, and we just have a culture of, like, if you have things that are important, then like we want to make sure that we are helping to make your life feel like one thing, not work and home, and like it's not all these separate areas. It's just like you just want our life to be our life, and so it is a very different culture of like, I matter because you care about when I get to play drums somewhere, or when I get to record these things, or go on vacation, or whatever it is.
I think it's very important. I'm glad you brought it up, just because in so many times in our culture, people are made to feel guilty that they want to go to their child's awards day, or that they want to, their child's sick, or that, they have an opportunity to play drums and it's an amazing opportunity. So truly, if you can help a person be successful in their life, not their work life, just in their life, then their work life can be successful.
Yeah, right.
But we're called to be good parents and good spouses and good employees. And you can't do that if you're going to guilt somebody for going to their child's program. You should encourage them to go to their child's program. And I felt if you get the right people on your team and trust them with their job, then they can live a life of more balanced life and feel good about what they're doing at home. They need to be the best they can be at home.
Yeah, right.
And don't feel guilty that, hey, I'm not going to be at this particular thing because I need to spend time with my family. That's a win.
Yeah, right.
And until people figure that out, all you're doing is hurting your organization.
Yeah.
Because you're making them choose.
Sheesh.
And that's, like you said, it's not a choice. Your family and your friends and your life is more important. So, and that's something I learned from my own self.
Right.
So I'm glad that we can watch out for one another to where we celebrate if you're doing something that you need to do for yourself, that it's not held against you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Perfect. Well, Melissa, thank you for being here and doing this again.
Thank you.
My favorite part about this season is we're asking all the people who don't love to be on in front of a microphone or on camera to do this.
They're like, what in the world?
Literally, everybody's like, okay, I'd love to.
We're behind the scenes people, though.
And so I'm just super grateful. And I just
thank you.
Again, I knew that, people are going to be able to feel the depth that you carry with this core value and the way that you live this out just from listening and watching this.
Thank
and so
you.
I just feel so thankful for who you are and what you do and the way that you love. And so I'm grateful to be on a team with you and and get to serve
Thank
alongside.
Me
you.
too.
And I feel the
It's
same
the
about you
best.
all and all of our team.
Me
So
too.
Very blessed.
It's the first part. This is the first one this season that I almost cried in. So good job. But yeah, just again, thank you. And
Thank you,
I'm looking
Brady.
forward to see what impact
Okay.
this has. So
Great.
awesome.
Thanks.
Well, thank you guys. We're super excited to keep going with this season. We'll be back next week, and we'll see you on the next episode.